How long is the Q&A? Can I like have a seat?
Yeah, we probably don't have a lot of time.
Okay, that's fine.
But,
Jiva, oh my god.
Go ahead. Anyone?
What did you do to prepare for the film?
I learned, as you can see, I speak Cree throughout the entire thing. So I had to learn Innu Cree and also Inuktitut, which was a challenge, and I learned canoeing and archery. It was kind of like Maina boot camp the week before we went into filming for pre-production. And it was very challenging, but we endured, and I always say that it was a team effort. I wish that the whole cast and crew could be standing up here with me right now, because that whole thing was a team effort. I couldn't have pulled it off without the dialect coach, Josephine Bacon. She's just remarkable. She's a residential school survivor. She's a poet. She speaks English, French, and Cree, and I think bits of Spanish. She's really remarkable. See how I snuck that one in there?
Did you get to keep the bear he carved you?
The bear he carved me? No, I didn't keep any set props or anything like that. I mean, if I was smart, I would have nicked something or like put it in a bag, snuck it off set, but I'm such a keener like that. I mean, I think in the Harry Potter series, they gave him one of the wands after it was done, and I mean, like, you should. I mean, Daniel Radcliffe contributed like hundreds of hours of his life, thousands, so. I mean, the least they could give him is a wand. I should have got one of those canoes, the amount of hours I put into that. Like a row back home to Alberta.
It looked like the film took several seasons to go through. How long did the actual production take?
You're a very observant man. Just kidding. It did. It took a lot. We had 2 shooting blocks, and the first one was in Megan, Quebec, which is 13 hours north of Montreal, I believe. Maybe I lied. I think it's like 3. Just kidding. No, it's about 10. And then the other part where we filmed with the Inuit people was in Kuujjuaq, which is just after the, it's leaving me now, but the tree line, where the tree line ends, and it's just snow. There's no more trees after that. And the whole film is financed by Inuit community members and also Innu Cree communities. So there was consistent First Nations consultation, and we always had cultural advisors on set, which is really how any film that includes First Nations experience in it, that's how it should be approached, and that's how it should be done. So it was really nice, and I feel like Maina is a shining example of where the film industry can head in terms of First Nations storytelling.
Any other questions?
Where's East Prairie?
I think like half this audience is East Prairie. There's like all my family and friends are here. It's 4.5 hours north of the Shire. Just kidding about it. You just go to Slave Lake, and then you kind of keep going, and before you get to High Prairie, you turn left, and there's the Eagles Nest of Eagle Hall, and you just keep going for a really long time, and you'll find it. You can't miss it. Like,
So we can come up there and see you.
No, don't do that. That's like that's my escape. Shh. Don't tell anyone I live there.
Any aspiring actors out there?
I know there's one. She works with me. I've taught her before. Awkward. Just put her on the spot like that. You don't have to say anything.
How was it working with some of these other talents that you were on the film with?
Oh man, it was awesome. I got to work with Tantu Cardinal, Graham Greene, Eric Schweig. Everyone take note that Eric Schweig did not drop a single F-bomb in this entire film. You may recognize his work from Blackstone, where he plays Chief Andy, and he swears like every second line. It was actually really, really incredible. Me and Eric got really close. We would just, because those three guys, like the four of us, spent so much time together, and you have a lot of time on set to talk and get to know each other. I learned a lot from, I've worked with Tantu before actually. This is the third project I've worked with her on. I'm very fortunate that way. I really wish she was here right now. She would have loved this because she's from Edmonton. Graham taught me some tricks of the trade and they're both hilarious. They're really funny, like they just had me laughing the whole time.
Okay.
Whoa, settle down. Wait, I hear a voice over here, and then there was another one there.
What did you learn about your culture or your past that you probably didn't know until you made the film?
My culture or my...
Your past.
Past.
Okay. I learned a lot. This was Innu Cree, so learning Innu Cree, it's a different dialect than I'm Woodlands Cree and Métis Cree, and yeah, I think it was really beautiful just to be in nature because there's such a simplicity in it, and it's a real struggle to make a film this big and to have so many cultures clashing at once. There was usually 4 languages being spoken on set at one time: English, French, Inuktitut, Cree. And I think I learned about the strength of my people. I learned that we're all different and that we're not a monolithic people. You can't just generalize First Nations and Indigenous experience because there's hundreds and hundreds of tribes just in North America alone. There's at least 562 registered Indian tribes in the United States of America. And I don't know the exact number in Canada, but there's a lot of us. So yeah, that's a really important thing I learned is we're not all the same. And my past, yeah. I think a lot of my family and my ancestors came out in this because when I watch that, I don't see myself. I see this complete different person. So I think I was fortunate that way.
Thank you. Next.
There's another one over here.
Was that a real igloo and was it warm in there?
What?
Was it real igloo? Was it warm?
Oh, yeah, actually, good eye. All of the igloo scenes are filmed in studio, and most of the time we're actually sweating, and there's like makeup people who are dabbing us off the sweat off our face. I wish I was kidding. Like that scene where we're all laying there naked, we were like, oh my God. We couldn't wait to film that scene. Except the love scene, it got a little toasty in there. I'm just kidding.
Are you blushing?
I don't blush. I'm just kidding. Maybe a little bit. I laughed at that part. I was like, oh, the love scene's coming up. I gotta go to the bathroom. My whole family's in here. I'm like, I'm not sitting here through that.
Okay, anyone else?
What's your favorite behind-the-scenes story when you watch a movie that you think of? What memory triggers?
Oh, there's a lot. Let's see.
What can you tell us?
What can I tell you? There's so much. Oh, that's a good question. I've actually never gotten that on this whole tour yet. We haven't really. I guess one of my favorite memories was working with Tantu and Graham at the same time. I mean, I can't even tell you all the jokes. They wouldn't make sense to you guys because they were within context, but that was one of my favorite days on set, was that. And I actually had something I thought of when I was watching the movie, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna tell them an awesome story about this after, but now it's like,
We can't hear you.
I think that's my cousin. He's like teasing me. If I think of one, I'll spit it out really quick.
Okay, a couple more questions.
How long does it usually take to memorize your lines?
Ma, Elizabeth? I didn't know you were here. Hi. Okay, wait, what? How long does it take to memorize lines? It wasn't so much, remembering lines isn't hard for me. I've been acting since I was like 13, 14, so it's like a muscle. It's like you just build up this muscle and then you get good at it, and that's that. The thing was remembering the Cree and then the Inuktitut and being able to convey the emotions that went with those lines, because I don't speak either of those languages fluently. So it eventually got to a point though where I felt a lot of freedom in it as an actor, because I didn't have to think of it. It just started to come out, and sometimes it's nice not to understand the words that are coming out of your mouth.
Did you have to do a lot of takes?
They don't call me the one-take wonder for nothing. I'm just kidding. Be humble, you're humble. Wisaki Chalk's gonna like play a trick on me after this now. I'm gonna like fall off the stage just because I said that. No, it's, can you repeat the question?
Did you have a lot of takes to redo your lines and, you know, when they were shooting the film?
No, we all got really good at it actually.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that can be attributed to the dialect coach. She was really good. And they kept it so that it wasn't dialogue heavy. Like most of the film is it's more of like an epic as opposed to being dialogue heavy. Like, I mean, anytime you watch a Quentin Tarantino film, you know you're in for a lot of dialogue.
I mean, I pre-screened the film before we showed it tonight. I was impressed with it. It's been out now for, how long? Just over a year?
Yeah, well, we started doing the festival track last year, and we released it in Quebec in March. Yeah, so I've been working on this film for over 3 years now.
And has it got quite a lot of recognition, you know, since it's been released?
Yes, it has actually. It's been really exciting. Our world premiere was at Shanghai International Film Festival, and I got to go to Shanghai, and it was amazing. I was there for like, I think about 8 days or so. And yeah, we went to Traverse City Film Festival. I got to meet Michael Moore, who is such a hero of mine. It was incredible, and he's very aware of the First Nations experience and the trauma that we've gone through, and he's an advocate for it actually. And I almost met Johnny Depp, but I still didn't. And I'm still kicking myself for it. So mad at myself. One day, Johnny, one day. Damn it. We went to San Francisco. Yeah, we've gone to lots of places. It's been really amazing. It's been amazing.
That's great.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Did you try to eat some raw liver?
Raw liver?
Yeah.
Well, as a matter of fact, I ate raw caribou for the first time while I was on set, just for cultural experience, because over there it's common to eat raw meat. I grew up on like moose meat. My dad brought me moose meat today, and I literally cried while I ate it. I was so happy. It's so hard being native and living in a city. I love moose meat. But I didn't try raw liver, sorry. I never answer questions directly. I need to tell a story, it's weird.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're talking about storytelling before you tell how important it is. Is this story of Maina, is it based off of any specific legends or anything like that?
It's based on a novel of the same namesake. It's based on a novel called Maina by Dominique Demers, and she did a lot of research basically, and she did really deep research on those people, the Indian people, the Inuktitut, and it was actually it's a really well done novel, and yeah, so it's not actually based on true or factual stories that occurred. And the thing with the ships at the end, they actually threw that in afterward. That wasn't in the original script. So I think that was to open up in case they wanted to do a sequel. And actually everyone in San Francisco at American Indian Film Festival was like, at that part, they're like, oh. The whole audience was like, and then at the Q&A, they're like, why did you put in the ships? The whole movie was just Native people, and it was weird. They were like, you know, they were about to riot or something. No, I'm just kidding. They didn't. But it was interesting just to see the different paradigms. I just wanted to say that I made a post today on my Facebook. You guys can follow me on Facebook and social networking if you ever want to. I just wanted to talk about the importance of language and culture preservation, and that this film, in a lot of ways, is celebrating Indigenous culture and language. It is, and that this is a path that we can go down. For myself personally, when I went through a lot when I was doing this project personally and professionally, and one of the biggest things was not going into it knowing I wasn't fluent in my culture, in my language. I grew up hearing Cree and I knew the musicality of it. There's a good music to it that I could adapt to Innu. But there was always this, and it's been there since I was a child, it's this tinge of guilt or shame for not knowing my own language. And I struggled with it, and I used to blame my parents, I used to blame myself, I used to get mad at myself and think it was my fault. But then as I got older, I started to, this veil of deceit in Canadian history started to be pulled away. And I saw that there was a cycle that we were a part of. And when I do this film and I talk to people about it, I just want to encourage people, don't carry the shame of the oppressor on your back. Don't carry the shame of the oppressor on your shoulders. And it's not really for us to point a finger and say this is your fault, but it's something that they must feel in order to move toward compassion. And I feel like once we do that, that's truly where reconciliation will begin. So I guess, do your best to learn what you can and take pride in that our language is still here and we can still learn it. And yeah.
Okay. Thanks very much for your questions. It's been a wonderful opportunity for us to have seen this magnificent film, and on top of that to have Roseanne on stage with us here and have the questions and have a dialogue between her and you. And we'd like to thank her again for such a wonderful production.
Thank you all for coming.
Okay, thank you everyone for coming out this evening. We do have another production coming on shortly, and that is The People of a Feather. So if you're going to stick around for that, it will be probably